Some storms that are rolling in, and then later on we'll have some heavy rainfall threats that could create some flooding issues. So let's start with what's happening right now and get that bigger picture, and then we'll dive into the specific of what's going on. At the moment, we have downtown Houston right here. So let's find ourselves on the map, okay? This is downtown Houston, so depending on where you are in the Fox 26 viewing area, you can kind of see what you're dealing with. The most immediate threat is our tornado watch, and we have some severe thunderstorms as well as some tornado warnings that go along with that, and we're going to look at that in just a moment. But if you are in the northwestern portions here, if you're in these counties out by Giddings and Brenham, College Station, you should be seeking shelter, as this is a very serious situation. Later in the evening, we have flooding as a concern, and that's why we've had a flood watch issued by the National Weather Service until 7 a.m., and that's going to be for north of Interstate 10 and east, generally speaking, from Harris County, Montgomery County, Walker County, and over to the east and to the northeast. And that's because of excessive rainfall that's going to happen in a too short of amount of time and create some street flooding and definitely some problems on our roadways. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment as well. Our wind advisory is for our southern counties. We've had wind gusts of 35 to 40 miles an hour for most of the day today. That's going to continue till at least about 10 o'clock tonight. And again, these are all from the National Weather Service and what they are expecting to happen as far as that weather is concerned, whether it be a flooding or severe storms or winds. Here are the tornado warnings that we're looking at right now. There are several on the board. Again, these are outside of the Fox 26 viewing area, but they are headed that direction. And it'll continue to move in the general motion that's happening right now, which is to the east-northeast, and they'll continue to move through Franklin and into Bryan and into College Station, and I would suspect that even Brenham is also going to be a possibility of seeing some of those stronger storms. There are a few others that are down to the south that's not on the map, but we are expecting, for the most part, north of Interstate 10 to where those strongest of storms should be happening. So if you're near this part of our viewing area, this is definitely a concern right now as something that is happening. You need to be taking your tornado precautions or your severe storm precautions where you're not going anywhere. Unless you're not in a safe place, but making sure that you continue to shelter in a safe place. That's an interior room. Get away from the windows. You don't want to be watching all this activity. You also need to be, of course, just sort of thinking ahead about what will I do if the power goes out? Because that's going to be something that's also likely, even if you might not have those strong winds at your house, they could be impacting your electricity. So be aware of that as well. So back here in the Houston area, it is very little happening right now. And we're really not expecting a lot of problems until much later on in the evening. And I would say that for the most part, you'll be at home and hopefully in bed if you're not already there once we're looking at our problems for this part of our viewing area where most of our population is at. And it's one of those situations where hopefully you can just maybe sleep through this, or at least you'll not have to be going anywhere, or you'll just be delaying where you're going in the morning because of that. But right now, very quiet across the area. So let's look at the Futurecast. We're going to continue to see the storms getting a little bit more organized. Notice all the red, the darker reds, the oranges, the yellows. That's the heavier downpours. Those intensities are going to increase. They will start perhaps below Interstate 10, but then as they move further into Montgomery County and that part of our viewing area, these storms are really going to slow down, and they're going to be repeatedly hitting the same place over and over. That's the training of these thunderstorms. Watch how when I move through the next couple of hours, we're going to continue to see rain hitting these same spots over and over. It's almost like the storms didn't move very much. I went from around 1:30 to 6 a.m. and there just was very little movement of these storms. That is a flooding threat. That is what we're talking about after midnight and more into 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And we're pausing this at 6 a.m. and there's still these storms that are dumping rain across the area. Now, we talked with the Harris County Flood Control District. Our bayous are very empty right now. They can handle a lot of rain, and a lot of what's being forecasted is going to be able to be managed by this amount of rainfall. But our severe weather threat is over by this point. So we're really just looking at several more hours from now for that severe weather threat, and then look how quickly this clears out. By the time we get to 10 a.m., all the storms are well to our east. They're going to be trouble for other portions of the country, but it'll be over for us here in southeast Texas, and we're going to have a fantastic looking forecast. I'm going to show you the 7-day coming up in here in a few minutes. So here we are right now at about 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, and this is what the Southwest Freeway looks like, and we've got a little shake on our camera. Those are those strong winds. We have sustained winds at 21 miles an hour at nearby Hobby Airport, and that's what we're seeing along with some lighter rain. And this breezy conditions, as we've talked about, is going to stay till at least 10 o'clock. So here's that look again. We've got moderate risk for severe weather. Severe weather is hail, tornadoes, as well as damaging winds. We've been talking a lot about tornadoes because we see those warnings that are happening right now. But large hail, up to 2 inches in diameter, something that could definitely be occurring in this area. And we talked about this oranger area here representing the moderate risk. That's that 4 out of 5 on a threat level. There's a larger area that's the enhanced. That does include the city of Houston. If you'll notice, well down to the south, there is a little bit more of that organization taking place. Those are the storms that could kind of find their way in and impact Houston a little bit more. I'm going to go even higher up in the atmosphere now, show our water vapor imagery. This dip in the jet stream, this low pressure swirl, this is helping to fuel all of this. And what we're seeing right now and what's impacting our area now and in the next several hours is really just the beginning of this storm system. So things get a little bit messy. Things get a little bit unorganized because it's not organized. And once once this storm system gets a little bit more in motion, it'll be a little bit easier to predict exactly what to expect and exactly when to expect it. So we're still kind of having to adjust as this storm system is forming, and then it'll continue to move across the country, bringing more severe weather possibilities with it. But right now, it is certainly quickly getting organized, and we talked about all these red areas here representing tornado warnings. Some of these have been confirmed tornadoes on the ground. Some of them have been radar indicated potential for tornadoes. And then we also have the orange or gold yellow shading there representing the severe thunderstorm. So maybe there's hail there, or maybe there's damaging winds. So there's a lot of activity happening along this first wave of the storms. And remember, later on in the evening is when we'll look to see. You can begin to see they're shifting that tornado watch now. They're moving it a little bit further to the east, or they're taking it away from the western counties. So until 10 o'clock tonight, these are the shaded counties where we have that tornado watch. The flooding threat, remember, that's longer than 10 o'clock. This goes all the way in currently until 7 a.m. and really not expected to get active until later in the evening as well. Here is what I think is going to be the most concern for the most people. All right. So again, where you are in the viewing, I don't know, and I can't specifically say this is exactly what you need. But in general terms, this rainfall forecast will impact the most people that are out there. And I don't want us to get too focused on saying, oh, it's right through the Woodlands and Conroe and then further to the northeast. This is going to be a general area, and this could slide around a little bit as far as what we're looking at. And notice it does dip back towards Katy, as well as that northwestern corner of Harris County. This is where we could potentially see 5 or 6 inches of rain over the whole night. If it's in too short of amount of time, we will have that street flooding. So the street flooding should be a temporary thing. It's not going to last, so you're just going to need to stay where you are in a safe place and be prepared for just to sort of ride things out a little bit until those streets can clear and get the water into the bayous, because I think the bayous are going to be able to hold whatever these storm systems are able to bring to us. Now, let's end this quick little broadcast with a good news. By 10 o'clock tomorrow, as we saw with the Futurecast earlier, I think everything is moved to our east. And so the rain chances are going to be gone. The skies are going to be clearing. And look at these days ahead that will be waiting for us as we move through the week. We're going to have several mornings that we'll see temperatures in the 40s to begin with, and then we'll end the day, or we'll have our high temperatures in the 80s in the evenings. And it's really, again, setting itself up to be very pleasant for the week ahead. But we definitely have some severe weather issues that are happening right now across the area and are continuing to move into other portions of our area. So be safe. If you are in a safe place and sheltered right now, let's just lock it in. Let's just stay there. Don't go anywhere until this is all over with. If you're in the northwestern portions, that's going to happen a little bit earlier. If you're over in the central portions and downtown Houston, then we're going to be seeing that flooding threat continuing all the way through, let's just say sunrise tomorrow. Let's not go anywhere until it's daylight out so you can see what has impacted the roadways and you can see what these storms have dumped as far as the amount of water and rain across the Houston area. We're going to have another streaming broadcast for you coming up at around 8 p.m. And then, of course, at 9 p.m., we'll have Fox 26 News at 9. Make sure that you catch that here, or you can flip on your TV as well. And again, make sure that you're making some smart decisions and be safe tonight.